Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Telechazzy, the segment on this channel where I review the TV shows that I watch, and it has been a very long time since I've done one of these, which is odd because I do watch a lot of TV shows, but I try to sort of filter them in a certain way where I only come here to review shows that I have finished, and where there will be no more new seasons, so sometimes, for example, I'll review a show here, but there are only a few seasons, and then later there will be more seasons. So I try lately to wait until a series is completely done for me to go back and review it, and today it's going to be one of those, but it's a show that I don't think a lot of people have ever heard of, and I'm pretty sure you guys know at this point that I'm a very big sports fan and that basketball is one of, if not my current favorite sport to watch, and because I've been playing NBA 2K22, I decided to come here today and review the first of a few basketball related pieces of media that I have planned out for you guys, and today's Telechazzy episode, is called, On today's Telechazzy episode, I'm going to be reviewing this show called Basketball or Nothing, It is a non-scripted reality television series, that happens in Chinle, Arizona, and follows the high school basketball team of Chinle High School, in the same place. And they are actually based in the Navajo Nation, the Navajo Nation reservation, which is called the Res, which is actually the largest reservation in North America. And in case you guys aren't familiar with that, it's basically not exactly Indians, but kind of Native Americans, to speak, but not like literal Native Americans, in leotards and stuff, but, descendants of them, and that's why they live in this close-knit community called the reservation, so it's really, really cool, actually. I'm actually very curious about their culture, and I do like to watch things about them, the indigenous tribes, but this is not indigenous, these are the descendants of them. But the way that this show plays with that culturally, where it shows the kids, and their families, and how they still do certain things that are traditional in that culture there, and how they still have ties to their Native American ancestors. I think it's really cool how they implement that, and the show is about basketball, and at the time of the series, they had Coach Raul Mendoza, working for the team. And the way that this series plays out is that we follow this basketball team as they try to win championships, and also work really, really, really hard to, maintain their grades up, and have actual, better options for themselves in the future. So it's actually very similar to Titletown High that I reviewed last year, which is kind of like the same thing, but about football, American football, So, but here it's different because we are focusing on the Navajo reservation, the Navajo Nation. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Navajo. I actually forgot how it's pronounced. It's been a while since I've seen this show, okay? But let's just call it Navajo for now because it's gonna make it easier, And seeing that implemented into modern day basketball as the kids work together and train, and come even closer as a team and friends, because there are only 6 episodes, but each one, I forgot how long it is. I think that they're upwards of about 40 or so minutes, so there is a lot of content there, and it's really cool to see how it plays out, each episode, how the kids grow and how they have their tactics there and how they are actually working more to come together as a group on the court and also friends outside of it, and some of the students, some of the kids, we see them, we focus on them and their personal lives outside of school, and their struggles, how they help their parents, their family, their siblings. So it's also a very, very, it's kind of like a coming of age story, but it's reality TV, so everything that we're seeing is in real time, so yeah. I think it was really nice. It was released back in 2019, so since then I'm pretty sure a lot of things have happened to them, and hopefully those kids went on to achieve great things, huh? So let's take a look here now at a clip from the series before I continue.
We play res ball.
Res ball is just like running and gunning, just pushing the ball, getting the open shot.
As Navajo people, we're not very big in stature, so for us to be effective against some of these bigger teams, we basically have to run them out of the gym.
Okay, pretty cool, huh? Hopefully that's gonna give you guys some hype for the rest of the video. Alright, so here's the thing. Right off the bat in the first episode, we are given a little tour of Chinle, and the very small community that they have, There are no movie theaters, no minor league sports teams, no nightclubs, All they have for entertainment is basketball, which is the basic addiction that everybody has. There is a stadium there. You know, and now the main team that we follow is the Chinle Wildcats, you know, who are playing the 3rd division of basketball. And the team that they have right now, they played this thing called res ball that they call, which is this up tempo run and this up tempo run and gun kind of style of play, you know, where they just pretty much run and try to shoot the ball as much as they can with very little teamwork, you know, sprinkled in between. And they actually have this thing where the smaller, undersized players try to outclass and outmaneuver the taller and you know, stronger opponents, you know. So it doesn't really work too well when you try to hustle somebody who's bigger than you. So then when Coach Mendoza joins the fray, I do believe that at that point it's his 2nd year teaching the team, you know. And even though the series premiered in 2019, what we see is footage and events from the 2017-2018 season, you know. So at that point, that was the coach's 2nd tenure with them, and he is a 40-year veteran, you know, been coaching high school basketball for all that time. So the players really could use his expertise. He definitely knows how to win, you know. So, and he wants to keep the players from running all willy-nilly all over the court and teach them more discipline, you know, because these players, like I said before, guys, the region that they live in Chinle is very, very poverty-stricken, you know, and it's very overrun by alcoholism and poverty itself, you know, gambling. So these kids are trying to give themselves better futures by playing basketball, because for the vast majority of them, going to college is incredibly unaffordable. You know, their parents do not have the money for that. They barely have enough money to put food on the table as it is. So if they win the state championship, it's going to make their lives much better, and they do have a pretty good team, you know. But after this season, that's all going to be over, because, well, the seniors are going to graduate, and the seniors are kind of some of their star players, right? So they need to make a run for the championship now. It's now or never. That's why it's called basketball or nothing, you know. So, you know, if some of the players can snag athletic scholarships, it would make their lives so much easier, you know. So they go for it, you know. As the episodes go on, we see them winning a few games, losing a few games, but they start to develop their play style more, you know, because they run and they pass, they run, they pass, they shoot, run, pass, shoot, and they start to implement more teamwork-oriented strategies, you know, that actually makes them really, really more familiar with each other's styles of playing, you know. So yeah, now the show starts off, you know, showing us a few of them, you know. I forgot their names, but I have the cheat sheet here, you know. We have Josiah Tusier, who is kind of like a water bug of a point guard. He has an alcoholic father who abandoned the family, you know. It shows him, you know, all of his ribbons and his medals that he won, you know, related to sports, you know, basketball in particular, you know. He starts talking about how one time he and his mother and his younger sister ran out of water and electricity, you know. So it shows us how impoverished these kids really are and what this could mean to them, you know, if they manage to snag a scholarship, you know. And then we have Cooper Burbank, who was a team captain and a sophomore, you know. He has a really good shot at being a Division I college player, you know. He's in his bedroom, you know, and it shows all the posters of NBA players, you know. He does cite specifically wanting to be just like Kevin Durant, you know, who of course we know is pretty much, he's an okay player in his own right, you know. So I'm sorry if I read directly from here, it's because it's been a while, so I have to remember a few things, you know. So they start playing some games, you know, and the coach starts to kind of berate them for certain bad attitudes, you know, but ultimately he does help to forge them into better players. And as the season goes on, they start to mature more and more and start to understand how important this really is for them, and the drive just gets stronger and stronger, you know. The players get hungry and hungrier for that win, you know. A few games they even win by a bit of a blowout, you know. Some they lose by a blowout, but that's how basketball is, you know. They're not going to win all of them, you know. And things start to show, they start to show their colors a little bit more, you know, on and off the court. And it's really cool to see the cultural tidbits, you know. There is one where I think we see one of the characters going deep into the desert, you know, to, I do believe, communicate with some energy there, you know. I forgot exactly what it was, but I'm not making fun of it. I really do think it's cool to see this tidbit of indigenous culture from back in the ancestry, you know. So it's really nice to see how they implement the kind of like the old cultural tidbits with the new modern aesthetic, you know, and how some of them are still very connected to their traditional roots, you know. So I think it's really nice how they observe this, you know, and showing the kids training and their parents, you know, what their lifestyles outside of the court, you know, and seeing the support of their friends and family in the games, you know, whether it's mostly at home but sometimes away. So I think that it's a series that really builds a lot on, you know, those connections there and the character development. So before I continue, again, let's take a look at another clip here of, well, something happening.
There's really nothing going on in Chinle.
We don't have a semi-pro football or baseball team. we have a high school basketball team.
We're on the res. It's like alcohol and the bad side of life.
Drugs, I see it every day. See people losing their lives over it.
We had no running water, we had no electricity.
Our student athletes are kind of a modern day warrior.
Okay, cool. Hopefully I'm able to get enough clips to sustain this here, you know, as I continue, because these, sometimes I kind of cut to a little clip like 3 or 4 times, you know, including the one at the end. So hopefully I can do it here as well. Let's just see, you know. But anyway, so the thing that I most love about this series here, as I do with all reality television series, you know, is just the sheer authenticity of it, you know, the realism, because this is not a TV show that manufactures drama. It just shows it. It captures the drama unfolding. It just literally turns on the cameras and lets you watch things unfold naturally, you know, and that's what I think is the coolest thing about reality TV, you know, because of course there are some that do sort of try to fabricate tension out of thin air behind the scenes, you know. Terrace House, you know, the Japanese reality TV show is a very good example of this, where sometimes the producers will go behind the scenes and tell one of the actors to do something, you know. They are real people there participating in the reality program, but sometimes they tell them to do something to try to stir up drama, you know, but that's not the case here, you know. You can see that there is real, genuine, there is genuine hope here in these Native Americans kids' eyes as they try to go for the championship, you know, which I think sets it apart from other different TV series in the same realm, you know. So, and the tone is very, very nice with what we see regarding Native American culture, you know. The tonal and stylistic trappings of reality TV are more kind of they are more emphasized there. You know, because for example, we see one player doing a little jog down a nice little deserted road, you know, then he turns to the side and sees like a discarded refrigerator or a torn up couch on the road, you know, just to hammer home the point how poor this community is and how very small and close-knit they are, you know, because some of them really don't have hopes for the future, man, you know, and they really these kids really do love what they do because they see there in the future, if they can get better at basketball, they can turn their lives around and maybe even one day turn this community around, you know. And a lot of that is also reflected on the coach, you know, because even like the coach, I mean, he's obviously not very wealthy. He does have a family, a few kids too, you know, but he drives this battered 30-year-old truck around and he washes his team's clothes by himself, you know, so that actually shows a lot of love for what he does as well, you know, in comparison to other high school teams that have a lot more cash, you know. So this is actually really, really close to home for a lot of us, you know, especially those who grew up in poverty or still are, you know. If you belong to a lower and or middle class family, you know, wherever you live in the world, especially if it's something like a reservation, a small town somewhere, you know, then, I mean, if you live in a rural part of anywhere in the world, you can definitely relate to the characters in this show, you know, and them saying no to things like alcohol and other drugs to pursue a career in sports and give themselves a better opportunity through this, you know, in school is really awesome. It actually draws a lot of comparisons to Coach Carter, you know, where the students have to actually work to get their grades up, you know, so they can actually continue. And some episodes, you know, I forgot if it was the 3rd or the 4th, but there are some episodes towards the middle of the series that shows a lot of this taking the toll on their players. Some of them do cry when they can't actually achieve a level that they wanted to, if they don't play well or if there's an injury, a suspension, you know, they're very close, and it shows their relationship with their classmates and some of them trying to date, you know, so a lot of that is tied into their culture and how they approach people. So it's really cool how they can kind of let themselves go on the court, you know. I honestly think it's really cool, you know, and I mean, it actually shows them, it kind of shows them, well, the cheat sheet that I'm reading from here actually has a few reviews as well, but basically I just want to give you guys a little bit of what I'm using this mostly to remember what happened, you know, plot-wise, because there were some episodes that I can't really remember, but I guess that's pretty much it, you know. Just seeing a little bit of the progression here, and how, because I'm such a fan of basketball, it was really entertaining to see the games. Even if we don't see the actual full games, you know, they do use different cuts and angles, you know, and they kind of sum up some of the points. So sometimes the footage will jump like several points, you know, 5, 10 or more, you know, but it cuts to when we see the most important points, when they score an important basket, a layup, a 3-pointer, you know, or shows them up or down. So, but I think think it was really entertaining. I don't think it took away from the essence at all. I think it was really nice to see that, you know. So everything was nice, you know, the good pacing, very good editing too, you know. The cinematography was really amazing, you know, which is very rare in reality TV. They usually just put them together in any way they want to, but now there's a really good soundtrack behind it, you know. There's really good, it almost feels cinematic in a way. It feels very dramatic, you know. You wouldn't think that a TV show about, you know, a Native American kids playing basketball at their high school would be dramatic, but trust me, man, it is, you know, especially when we connect the players' emotional turmoil in their personal lives, you know, to what they're doing on the court. So that is really awesome in my opinion. Man, I just, that show is really cool. I think I'm gonna watch it again after reviewing it because it's making me want to see it again, you know. So let's take a look at one final clip here before I inevitably head towards the end.
I've always been counted out just because of my height, but when I'm playing, it feels like I'm just as tall as everyone else.
This team actually could make history for Chinle. Could win Chinle's first state championship. We always dream big.
Good job! Good job!
Coaches won championships. That's how we just follow him.
Go, DM!
Alrighty, so let's wrap this up, huh? Now, even though the show doesn't really address directly the politics of, you know, Native American reservations, and this one especially, we do still get a sort of a sense of how things work there, you know, just a little bit of how they work, you know, in terms of their own little democracy, this and that, you know, but they're sprinkled in ever so lightly, you know, so only if you pay attention you can actually notice how the community works, you know, a little bit of their culture. And it's really funny because as the series goes on, you can see how they have sort of like the Wildcats. They have this very bright, shiny, state-of-the-art basketball stadium, you know, which is a perfect contrast to the battered homes of the players. You know, some of them live in very, very rural areas, you know, and you look inside their homes and it's just very sad, you know. And it's kind of like real life NBA players where they come from extreme poverty and then they go on to achieve success and become millionaires. And you know, the shock of that, seeing how different that is, also presents itself in that way. So now the thing is that despite so many games, they do eventually make it, I believe, to the state championship final, but they lose to the other team, which are much more superior to them, you know. And of course, the players are very sad, you know, they cry a lot, but that's just it, man. They played so well and with such zest that some of them are actually given athletic scholarships, you know. So even though they didn't win the championship, they would go on to study other things, you know, in college, and they would try to get, they were going to be studying degrees, they were trying to get degrees in certain things while still playing basketball on the side. Some of them, I believe, just went on to maybe abandon the sport, you know, but whatever they did, at the very end there, we see them. It's really emotional. It made me cry because I wish I could go back in time to high school and, you know, take it a little bit more seriously and have graduated in the United States, because I finished high school here in Brazil, you know, taking it a little bit more seriously. Maybe I should have played some sports, you know. It just made me feel very nostalgic for the opportunities that I didn't have when I was a kid, you know, or rather that I took away from myself. So seeing these kids make a name for themselves and finally get the scholarships that they did deserve was just amazing, you know, showing the footage of them signing and being really emotional with themselves and hugging, you know. So that was a very good end to the series, you know. 6 episodes, not necessarily short, they're pretty long, but a very short series in general, you know, and that was a very good way to top it off, you know. I really enjoyed it a lot. I loved it, and if you're a basketball fan, I definitely recommend it. It wasn't perfect, however, you know, there were a few glaring flaws there that I couldn't really get by, but ultimately, because of what it presented to me, which was basketball and a very interesting cultural, a different cultural background of a Native American reservation, you know, I am going to give this show ultimately a rating of 7 out of 10. Okay, that is what I'm going to give it there. Read it and weep. Okay, wasn't perfect, but it was still just mildly entertaining enough to keep me engaged all the way and want to binge watch. I do believe I watched the entire thing in 1 or 2 days, you know, because some of the episodes are pretty long, you know. But I think I watched it all in 1 day, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe 2. But the point is, I saw it, okay, I binged it, you know, so because of the certain glaring flaws, there's more things that I wanted to see, and sometimes me thinking that it took away the focus from what I actually wanted to see, you know. And because I don't know too much about Native American history, you know, I was lost a few times, so that's what I'm gonna give it, you know. It was very close to getting an 8 out of 10, but I think 7 is a little more justified. One of the reasons is because it was too short. I wanted there, if it had maybe maybe 8 or more episodes, maybe 9, 10, you know, maybe the rating would have been a little bit better. 8 episodes I think would have been good. Like an additional 2 or 3 episodes, maybe the rating would be a little higher, but ultimately I'm giving it a 7, okay? Definitely recommend it if you like basketball and Native American culture, you know, that kind of thing. And even if you don't, you should give it a chance. I think it's really cool, you know. It'd be awesome to star in a reality TV show series, man. It's gonna be freaking cool, you know. So that's it, guys. Pay attention to my outro screen at the end because I'm going to leave a little link there in the bubble to Titletown High, the review that I did for that, and something else possibly related to this too, you know. We're gonna take a look at that there. I'm gonna see that in post. But that's it, guys. If you happen to like this review, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, you might as well hit the notification bell as well to know exactly what time I upload, because it's videos every single day. I hope so. Lately, I haven't really been too much on a roll, but I try as hard as I can for daily content. And that's it for today, guys. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen after the final clip here.
Believe is your time to accomplish the impossible.
It's just a question that they got to answer themselves.
2 seconds, 1 second for the win.
How bad you want it.